as you probably guessed, I'm originally from Ohio. All right. Oh, Cleveland back there, right? Yeah. All right, excellent. Hope you guys succeed. Okay, excellent. I never really experienced discrimination growing up in Southwest Ohio. The only time I felt different was when they called roll call, because the teacher would go alphabetically through the list and be like, David Sanders, here. Casey Sargent, here. Yeah, that's me. I didn't even have a name. That's like my symbol, a pause and a frown. I felt like Prince. So they would call people like us, affectionately, they would call us almonds, okay? Because I'm sort of a white Indian, sort of brown on the outside and white on the inside. And so we sort of adopted this term of almond. And we used it for every race. I mean, Asians could be Twinkies or bananas. Black folks could be Oreos. Okay, listen up, Cusp, let's do this. So they would call us almonds, although they should call us coconuts because we're hairy. I think that would make more sense. No, Indians are hairy people. I mean, the men too, you know. And there it is. Okay, all right, there it is. I worked at Procter Gamble for 6 years. I worked at P&G, and my manager was black. Well, he probably still is. I just haven't seen him in a while. So weird. Calvin, what happened? I got promoted. Tapping to that white guilt works every time. Okay, excellent. No, I remember he had such a great sense of humor about racial issues. I remember I went up to him one afternoon. Like, hey, Calvin, are you free? He goes, since 1863, dog. Taking that joke to Cusp, son. All right, excellent. What's up? I just can't believe that people in this day and age are still racist. That's so gay. Okay. Thought I would start out with some jokes, or at least a speech, and if you laugh, I guess they're jokes. I want to give you a little bit of my point of view. All right, so I think it's always important to talk about point of view. I've been doing stand-up for 10 years, 6 of those full-time, the last 6, not the first 6, that would be sad, I guess. It's like, yeah, this guy got a job, I guess that's what happened. So I wanted to jump into the jokes first. I don't want to set any expectations. I know that the pressure is on for me to be funny since I'm a stand-up comic. I think it's going to start funny, get a little serious, and then hopefully end up funny again. I have the PowerPoint skills of a 10-year-old, so forgive me on that. Or I guess more appropriately, a 40-year-old these days. Probably makes more sense. And I do use a lot of words. I think the presenters before were great at using visuals. I wish I were like that, but I'm a comic, so I use words. This is also very long, so I'm going to treat this like my dates and just see how far I can get. All right, ladies. And realize that this is just my opinion. There are different points of view. I don't know if anybody saw the program on HBO called Talking Funny, but Ricky Gervais hosted it. It was Jerry Seinfeld, Louis C.K., and Chris Rock. And they even had disagreements amongst giants like that. So if they're going to disagree, you can bet that we will. Because there's an age-old debate, for example, in stand-up. When you bomb, so cue to like 2 minutes ago, when you bomb, whose fault is it? Is it the comics? Is it the audiences? There are different points of view on this. Chris Rock says it's always the comic. It's like, it's always you. George Carlin said, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's them. So if folks like that can disagree, I'll agree with Carlin, it was probably you. And we cannot move forward on a discussion about comedy without quoting E.B. White. I don't know if anyone knows what he or she said. I don't know, I'm not literary enough to really know, actually. I was trying to sound smart, but I actually have never known that, coming to think about it. Oh, well. It's actually, E.B. White had professed that dissecting comedy is like dissecting a frog. Few people are interested, and the frog dies of it. So there's that. Wonderful, okay. Dave said not to sell up here. I will try not to. I worked at Procter & Gamble for 6 years. I worked on Capitol Hill, and I'm a comedian, so I kind of don't know how not to sell, but I will try not to. I'm here to tell you about a process we've designed that uses stand-up comedians to help marketers generate insights for their brands. So I'm going to break that sentence down for you so you don't get too lost. Basically, we'll bring comedians into a comedy club and bring the brand team and consumers in, and the comedians will do 20 minutes of stand-up about a particular product, whether it's hair coloring or yogurt or shaving, and the marketers will get insights from that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how that works. Hats off. Thought that was kind of cool because they're comedians with the... No? Okay. Even the pictures are bombing. This is great. Okay, so... Wonderful gig. Thanks, Dave, for this gig. Basically, a lot of corporations are employing the services of comedians these days for brainstorming, creative warm-up, improv. A lot of folks at Second City will go into companies and help them develop ideas. I think this is all well and good, but it's missing the main things that comedians do, which is we generate insights. We're insight generators, so I will attempt to prove that to you. This is an article in Advertising Age that ran last week about me, and this has nothing to do with the presentation, but I was an ad age. These jokes are for 3 people at a time, so if you haven't laughed yet, except for that one, that was for all of you. Okay. Let me break down some definitions. It's always important. I think Voltaire said, if you wish to converse with me, define your terms. I think that was a man, Voltaire. To tell you about a process we've designed, and I underlined that word just so I could tailor it for this conference, that uses stand-up comedians to help marketers generate insights for their brands. Let's talk about what an insight is. It is a not yet obvious discovery about the target consumer that touches the heart and the mind and is actionable. That is an insight. What do marketers do? This is probably overly simplistic, but at our core, we create demand. That is what marketers do. How do we do that? We do that by communicating to consumers. How do we do that? By finding insights about human behavior. What do comedians do? Most days, make people laugh. How do we do that? We do that by telling jokes. And how do we find jokes? We find insights about human behavior. So you will see a trend. Basically, this is the structure of every ad you've ever seen. Every advertisement contains 3 parts. The marketers will find a consumer insight, a benefit, and a reason to believe. The consumer insight is what everybody relates to. The benefit is the payoff, and the RTB, or reason to believe, is further explanation in case you didn't quite get the benefit. So, for example, if Gillette has a new commercial, the consumer insight may be, no guy likes the irritation that comes with shaving. And then the benefit is new Gillette Fusion will give you the most comfortable and closest shave you've ever had. And then the RTB is, that's because the new Gillette Fusion razor has 89 blades or whatever it has these days. And so that is the structure of every ad you've seen. Every joke, similarly, has a similar structure. I didn't mean to use the word similar twice. It's funny, similar is the same word as similar. So basically, you've got a premise or a setup, then you've got a punchline, and you've got a tag. A tag also is further explanation. It's a segue, that sort of thing. So Jerry Seinfeld had a joke about laundry detergent, and he said, I don't know if anyone here has seen the new commercials for laundry detergent. They show you how you can get blood stains out of your shirts. Pretty violent image there. And then his punchline is, I think if you've got blood all over your shirt, maybe laundry isn't your biggest priority right now. And then you'll tag it up by saying, I think you need to get the harpoon out of your chest. Okay? So that is the structure of a joke. Comedians observe something, and then we write a joke. Oh, I get to use the laser pointer. This is what I was waiting for. Okay. So in our little program, I was going to point it there. That would have been really stupid. Okay, all right. So, okay, so punchline. When we perform for these marketing groups and consumers and whatever, the comedians will tell jokes. We'll peel back the onion to figure out what the premise and setup is, and then we will go north into the consumer insight, and then the marketers will write a commercial based on those insights. Hopefully, oh, you can't ask questions, so you got it, I guess. It is the death knell for comedians to be asked to be taken seriously. That's not fair. The first thing we ask the world is, you got to think we're funny. Then for us to simultaneously say, no, but you also have to take us seriously. That's not fair. So comedians don't want to be taken seriously. Ideally, we want, I can't remember if it was Chris Rock or I who said this. I get us mixed up all the time. But it was that we want to make you laugh in the room and think on the way home. So if we do that, we have done our jobs. But we don't want you to think in here because we want you to be laughing. Everybody asks comedians, and everybody asks all creatives, where do you get your ideas? How do you find stuff that's funny? We don't look for things that are funny. We look for things that are incongruent. If we look at something like this, you'll see a bunch of black dots against a white background, and you'll see this big pink dot that is not a bindi. That wasn't a racial thing. It wasn't a dot thing. That's not what I meant by that, actually, at all. It really wasn't. And so that dot is the one that's funny. It is the one that is different. That's how we do it. Suffice it to say that you don't need to remember this. There's not going to be a quiz afterwards, but there is a difference technically between comics and comedians. Comics say funny things. Comedians say things funny. Okay, so some jokes you will just read and they will just jump out at you. This is my friend Johnny Sanchez, who is a regular at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, and I see him there all the time, which is a nice way of saying that I'm a regular at the Hollywood Laugh Factory. But point is, he's got one of the most broadly appealing jokes I've ever heard. He says, "I've been living with my mom for so long that now when people ask me, I just say that she lives with me." I think that's a fantastic joke, and there's one of us in the room that thinks that, evidently, so that's good. That's great, excellent, wonderful, perfect. Stephen Wright, the great one-liner comedian, was awesome at this. He's still awesome at this. He'll say something like, "I have a large collection of seashells I keep scattered on the beaches throughout the world." "I bought a new digital camera. It's so advanced, you don't even need it." That is just funny. You could read it, it'd be like a Reader's Digest kind of thing, and it would just pop out at you. This is a picture of me and Kevin Nealon. I'm the short one. When I had hair. Kevin Nealon isn't just purely a comedian. He's a brilliant writer as well. But he's got some jokes where he's just found his voice. He's found his thing that works for him. He'll do a joke where he'll be like, "Yeah, I ate at a Mexican restaurant the other day, and they make it fresh by the table. They make it fresh by the table." It's sort of an Italian Mexican restaurant, but. So it'll get limited applause. Oh, take that metric. That was killing today. But basically, you have to hear him do it, and then you'll be like, oh, that's why Kevin Nealon does that joke. So what could Brown do for you? Brian Regan just made his 25th appearance on the David Letterman show. I don't know how many people are familiar with Brian Regan, but he has a 4-minute clip about moving boxes, and we are going to play that now.
We just moved. I called UPS to ask them to help out with some boxes. And they're a good service, but you have to have information ready about your boxes before you even call them. I had no idea. I called him up. "Yeah, I have 10 boxes if you come pick them up." "We need to know the weight and the girth." "Okay, goodbye." So I called back, "We need the weight and the girth." "Okay, I don't know what the weight is, and I don't know what girth means." "So now what's the procedure?" So this guy talks to me like I'm 4 years old. "Well, do you have a bathroom scale?" "Yeah, but if I put the box on a scale, it's going to cover up the numbers." "What do I take them off really quick?" "Zero, I'm not fast enough." What's he talking about? So then he gives me like his Mr. Wizard formula. "How about if you stand on the scale and weigh yourself, get off the scale, pick up the box, get back on, weigh you and the box together and subtract your own weight." I'm going, slow down. "Hold on, Professor." I know this guy's never tried this, because I tried it, and you still can't see the numbers. What am I, Mr. Olympia? £3. Then I had to hang up in the middle of his girth formula. He kept assuring me it was easy. "You know, the girth is very simple to figure out. You take the length and you double that by the smaller of the height after you triangulate the hypotenuse from the third side." Okay, I gotta go. I'm getting another call. "Yeah, I'm too stupid to talk to you. I just want to not be on with you any longer." So this is true. I figured I would call back and just make up some numbers, Let them come out and pick them up. If it's wrong, I'll pay the difference. Just dispatch the truck. Please. So I called back. "Yeah, I have 10 boxes, and..." "No, I'm another guy." "Yeah, and they all weigh exactly 22 pounds, and they'll have a girth of 3. 3 what? 3 girth units. Come pick them up, please. I'm begging you. They're boxes and they're brown and they have tape all on them. And they probably fit on a dolly. Why must you torture me?
Brian Regan, everybody. Brian Regan. Now I could tell everybody I opened for Brian Regan, so that was kind of the point of that. That's very insightful comedy. You could see it written, it would still be funny. It's funny when he acts it out as well, but we would love to do a program for UPS because we would tell them what they could improve. So I'm going to give you 10 reasons, I think, if I make it, why comedians rule. The number one is that we find patterns. Every joke is essentially a pattern. Jokes are 1, 2, 4. That's what a joke essentially is in terms of its structure, because you're able to look back and see what I did there. I wasn't counting. I wasn't going 1, 2, 3. I was actually doubling the numbers. So there's a pattern, 1 to 2 to 4. So a joke will establish a pattern and then break it, and that incongruency is where the laugh results from. So it'd be like a guy walks into a bar, second guy walks into a bar, third guy ducks. Wah, wah. But right, so basically you would get that, and we're going to hopefully raise the bar on the jokes going forward. So I'm going to play a clip from When Harry Met Sally because I love to have new references. We solve problems. That is the second thing that we do. So this is a 23-second audio clip only, so listen up.
At least I got the apartment.
That's what everybody says to me, too. But really, what's so hard about finding an apartment? What you do is you read the obituary column. And you find out who died, go to the building, and then you tip the doorman. What they could do to make it easier is combine the obituaries with the real estate section. Say, then you have Mr. Klein died today, leaving a wife, 2 children, and a spacious 3-bedroom apartment with a wood-burning fireplace. See?
It's a great idea. They still have never done it for some reason. Maybe an old reference to George W. Bush, but whatever, I kind of miss him. We articulate things. The reason I think that focus groups oftentimes don't work is because people have a hard time talking. They have a hard time articulating what they mean. That's why Apple doesn't use them at all. And a lot of initiatives fail in entertainment and media. And it's not surprising to me because they're created by people who are nothing like the consumer. You have basically East and West Coast liberal Jews. That's not what I'm saying. That wasn't the point. What that's not, gotta watch that with this jacket. Anyway, point is that that's not it, but they look very different from the consumers that are in middle America, and I can say that because I'm from Ohio, so I know that. Whereas if you look at consumers, they have a hard time articulating what they mean. Comedians are more creative than your average consumer, and we consume a little bit more than your average creative, so that's the reasoning there. Well, creatives are thin, right? So there you go. We target. That is another big thing that we do. When we write jokes, I always try to picture who would find this funny. Is it my brother? Is it my mom? Is it a girl I know? Is it a teacher? Who would actually laugh at this? And then when I'm up on stage, I can tell when I'm doing well and when I'm not doing well, because when I'm not doing well, I'm not targeting. I'm just seeing a sea of people, and you target everybody, you target nobody, and okay, I hope you guys enjoy that, see ya, bye. Whereas when I'm doing well, I'm looking at people individually in the eye, and I'm saying, I'm gonna make him laugh, and you chortle, and you guffaw, and that's exactly how it works. So we target, we target, we target. That's an important point. And I know that I've said something universal, not when I'm making a fellow nerd from Ohio laugh, but when I'm down in Birmingham, Alabama, and I tell a joke, and I get a guy come up to me, and he's like, I love your jokes, man, and he gets in his pickup truck with a gun rack and drives away. That's when I know I've said something that connects. I've made someone laugh who looks nothing like me. One of the presentations from earlier was talking about the importance of failure. I love that. I think that's really, really important. If there's one thing stand-up comics know very well, it is failure. We fail all of the time. It is part of the process. I think he was calling it failing up. Because being funny is a talent, being a stand-up comic is a skill. They're different. Talent is congenital. What's that word? It's something you're born with, whereas a skill is something you can develop over time. So that's one big difference. The other thing is, if I called you to come up and tell a joke that everybody here finds funny, it'd be very difficult for you to do. Not because you suck as a person, but because it's hard to find a joke that everybody finds funny. The point is to get the audience to like you, respond to you, and then they'll laugh at your stuff. So right now I can tell you like me, you might not think I'm funny, but I think you like me. And you only get one shot, one opportunity. You get one shot to do it. So that's what makes it really hard. Stand-up is live plus comedy. Also, Chris Rock, this time for sure, said, your jokes are not smart if only smart people get them. I think it's a really profound statement, and I think it's worth repeating. Your jokes are not smart if only smart people get them, and that is true for anything that you create. If you create an ad, if you create something that you designed, and you're like, well, this is brilliant, you can't just walk out and go, well, they were all idiots, because that's not, I mean, that's what we do, but you're not supposed to do that. But we all do it. We collect data. We are troves of material. If you want to know every joke there is about rice cakes, I know them. That's what we do. We consume a lot of content. Let me explain something about context. We're very good at figuring out the context of the different things. When we write a joke, we figure out where exactly to put it. A couple of weeks ago, after Todd Aiken made his comments about illegitimate rape, I posted on Facebook, I got shot yesterday in Missouri, but the gun was illegal, so luckily my body rejected the illegitimate bullet. I thought it was moderately funny, but it got 150 likes, 10 shares, all of these comments. I mean, it was very, very talked about. And I would tell you to add me on Facebook, but I'm full. I've got 5,000 friends, so that's too bad. But basically, it's important to know a context. That joke on stage, first time I've ever said it, kind of worked. Got an applause break from a woman there. But other than that, it's important to know where to put the jokes. I've created some signs that I think are funny. Rajiv, left to his own devices. There's me on a phone, all these girls trying to get my attention. Thought that was kind of cute. It's based on a true story. I'll tell you that at the after party. And I have, that's me carrying all of my pants, and I'm saying this is for all my knickers and britches. Thought that was really funny. Who'd have thought that joke would have worked, by the way, but okay. The proof shows you what I know. I was like, that's a slide that's going to get me kicked off. Biggest laugh, biggest laugh. We don't know anything. That's why being a performer is so much better than being a writer. You write something, you think it's brilliant, but then you perform it and you find out whether it is. So there you go. I'm happy that you laughed. I did not make this shirt. This is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. Gosh, I wish I would have come up with that. We create purity. Comedians are pure, pure, pure. That is what we're all about. We're the most honest form of performance. People always come up to us like, oh, it's the most difficult job on the planet. It's not. Navy SEALs, being president, a lot of other things are harder than what we do. But it is the most difficult form of performance, hands down, no question. If there are any improvisers here, we can have that debate. But the reason for that is a level of expectation. Improv, it's like, oh, they just came up with that. That was amazing. Stand-up is like, you've been thinking about this for 6 months, and this is what you're telling us? So that's the difference. It's a level of expectation. What I mean by this, and the other thing about comedians, is we get here to wherever we are based purely on our thoughts. That it's one of the few professions where it is like literally your words, and now we are here presenting at Cusp, so that's kind of cool. And that's all based on stuff that you wrote. There's a reason for that. There's an old phrase that says, that which is most personal is most general. So if you try to write a joke that everybody will find funny, it's probably not going to work. But if you go deep inside yourself, you might find something that resonates. The reason I put the Tremor logo up there, I used to work at Tremor at P&G. It's a word-of-mouth agency, not to be confused with Tremor Video. At one point, I had done a program with the teens. It's a panel of 200,000 teens. And I asked them if they wanted to write me jokes that I would then perform in an LA comedy club. And it actually went pretty well. The joke that won was, it was actually really smart. It was something like a kid, I think he was like 14, wrote something about how on the side of cereal boxes, they show you like what your daily breakfast should be. And it's like, you know, 3 pieces of toast and 2 glasses of orange juice and all these eggs and pancakes. It's like, slow down, Tommy. You know, we're spending all of our money on your second grade breakfast. I know you need all this energy. It was this whole thing. And I was like, wow, a kid wrote that? I thought that was pretty impressive. But when I went on Facebook and I was like, I have an idea for a joke. Anyone have any ideas? The backlash was tremendous. People were like, you are supposed to write your own jokes, don't ask us. You're supposed to tell us, don't ask us. And so that was a harsh lesson in figuring out we're supposed to come up with this stuff on our own. We can handle the truth. There's an old quote that goes, much truth is said in jest. Friedrich Nietzsche, however he said that, I think that was a guy. I think so. He said, or he wrote, at least, I don't know if he said, I wasn't there. Could ask Akeem from Coming to America, that one, anyone? Okay. We should call every truth false, which was not accompanied by at least one laugh. Funny because it's true. The reason for that is that comedians are modern-day court jesters. The role of the court jester was to whisper truths into the king's ear without fear of being beheaded. And so that is what we are now. If I tell a joke and it doesn't really go over, I can be like, oh, I was kidding, I'm a comedian, and maybe nothing will happen that's really that bad. But that's really our role. So we've been hired to go into companies, and we knew this yogurt company had hired us, and we could tell that the underlings, since I'm giving you sort of the king analogy here, the underlings were not happy that the seniors had, well, not the senior executives, not senior citizens, although they were that too, but that they had renamed the Greek yogurt into something else, and they were really upset about it. So we sort of fed this information to Orny Adams, one of our comedians, and he got up on stage and he's like, and you took a product that I knew, Greek yogurt, and you turned it into this other thing, and I was like, what the F is that? And the place went nuts, because it was a way for us to convey to the CEO and his people, look, this name just really isn't working, and we don't know how to tell this to you. So we hired these guys to come tell you. Finally, we study human behavior. That's a reference to Bjork. Anyone from the 90s? MTV? Okay, good, all right. Anyone remember that? We study human behavior. QED, that's the Latin phrase I'm looking for. QED, comedians are insight generators. In 1 minute or less, I'm going to tell you about a case study. Herbal Essences hired us, and we went in, and they needed a way to talk to their target consumer about hair coloring. And we brought in a comedienne. She is very much within the target audience, and when she was up on stage, she said something about how coloring my hair should be a joy, not a job. And all of the pencils went nuts, and especially the women in the room were like, oh, that was brilliant, that was great. And then they built a $50 million global restage based on that one insight. So usually if the comedians are within the target, they can come up with stuff that other people just can't. Finally, I will say that it was my desktop background for the longest time. I love that picture. What we laugh at tells us a lot about who we are as people. I'm fairly moderate politically. I'm a little bit left of center, and I can tell you with that point of view that conservatives are way better audiences than liberals. I don't know why that is. I think maybe they just agree with the racist stuff I say on stage. But I'm not really sure why it is. PC is a liberal thing, I guess, and they're just this guilt, and they won't let it loose. But there's actually there was an evolution of human behavior, evolution and human behavior, quoting Bjork, from 2009. It said people's implicit beliefs and preferences matched what they found funny. I actually think that the more okay you are with race, the more you laugh at racial jokes. That's what I think. I think the more okay you are with women's rights, if somebody tells you an anti-women joke, you laugh harder. I don't know, that's my theory. I know I'm okay, I'm telling you that, and I find those jokes freaking hilarious. So that's all I could say about that. But no matter what, a reaction is a reaction is a reaction. Conservative audiences may laugh and liberal audiences may gasp, but whether you gasp or you groan or you applaud or you laugh, that is some kind of reaction that whatever I said was true. So if I get up here and say something about how, well, Mexicans can't drive, you're like, it's not true, Asians can't drive, right? So there you go, okay, good, there it is, there it is. But the reason for that, a lot of the time, is that Lindy West put this right. Daniel Tosh made a rape joke the other day at the Laugh Factory, and Lindy West wrote an amazing column called How to Make a Rape Joke. And it was brilliant. She basically said that it's not okay for comedians or anyone to say, well, it's okay because I punch everybody in the face. I punch people, baby ducks, lions, this Easter Island statue, the ocean. I punch everybody equally. She's like, that's fine, but now that baby duck is dead and you were a duck murderer, okay? So not everybody can take a punch quite as easily as everyone else. I probably would not tell these jokes normally in a corporate setting, but I'm gonna say this is a quasi-corporate setting, so I'm gonna tell them. The real zingers I can tell you later, but I'm gonna tell you a few and see how you react. I'm sure I'm gonna cross the line, so whatever. And I don't care if I offend you. You offend people's minds, you hurt their hearts. I don't want to hurt you, but I don't care if I offend you. And that's what a joke really is. A joke builds tension and then it breaks it. Jokes that work broke the tension accurately, and if they didn't break the tension, then they didn't work. Why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella? For drizzle. Why can't Stevie Wonder see his friends? He's married. Why is it surprising that Mexico has an Olympic team? Anyone who can run, jump, or swim is over here. What's the one good thing about pedophiles? They drive slowly in school zones. we were at my friend's place the other day, and we were telling these really, really horrible jokes, much more horrible than those. And your reactions were about what I gauged, actually, on that. But, we're telling all these awful jokes, and then I was like, oh, dude, how many Jews? And my friend was like, dude, not cool. Not cool at all. Absolutely not. No. And I'm like, why? We're telling every other kind of joke. We're drinking. Who cares? Like, what's the big deal? He's like, that is not okay. My grandfather died in the Holocaust. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I didn't know, and the whole room, mood just completely changed, and I was like, I'm so sorry, and I didn't mean anything by it. And he goes, yeah, I know, he fell off a guard tower. I found out later that was an oldie but goodie, but he got me good. I was like, damn, son. I will close by telling you a couple of jokes, just by saying, where are the single people in the room? Any single people here tonight, or today, I should say? Clap if the single people are here. Just a few of us. Okay, I guess. I'm single, I think, because I chase women who are out of my league. This guy's looking for the single women. That was brilliant. How did you let him get away with that? That was awesome. Like, he didn't even try to pull like one of these like iPhone things, really. He was like, that was brilliant. Nicely done, my friend. That was wonderful. I will say this before I get out of here. I think I'm single because I chase women who are out of my league. I hosted this thing called the Bollywood Awards recently, and they flew in models from Milan and Paris and Bombay, and all my guy friends wanted to know the same thing after the show. It's like, did you hook it up, bro? Did you hook it up? Did you hook it up? Did you hook it up, bro? Like, no, I didn't hook it up, bro. They're models. I'm 5'6". Your first move on a girl can't be. But I love tall women. I love tall women. You get more for your money. And I love being the little spoon. And I'm not gay, by the way. I wanted to point that out. That wasn't the joke, but thank you for laughing. I'm not gay, and I have nothing against gay men at all. They're very loyal. They always have your back. And I could say that because I'm homophobic. Now, I could say that because my brother's gay, and that's actually true. He came out of the closet recently. Well, we're Indian, so he came out of the cupboard. The real reason I'm single, and I'll say this and I'll get out of here, which is we all have a number on a scale from 1 to 10, okay? And I'm a 6, and I know that. And she's looking at me like, dude, you're a 4, but seriously, let it go. The rule is you can only be happy with a person who's 1 number up or down from you on the scale, okay? So if I'm a 6, I can only date 5, 6s, or 7s. But I've dated 10s before, and people are like, well, how have you dated 10s? Here's the thing. Ladies, you are what you are. If you're a 9, you're beautiful, you're great, but you can't go up or down on the scale. Fellas can go up on the scale if we're funny and we have money. Okay, so I'm a 6 for looks. I'm a 7 because I'm funny on most days. And I become an 8 because I've got some money in the bank, and that's how I date 10s. People are like, yeah, but that's still 2 numbers apart. What I do is I meet a 10, and I break her self-esteem down so she thinks she's a 9. You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you very, very much. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.